Well. You know, I gotta say, you know, Texans, win their seventh straight, surviving a scare against the Las Vegas Raiders, an upset minded Raiders team at that, with nothing to play for. That's the good news. Oh, the bad news, unfortunately, Jacksonville straight up dominated the Broncos today, you know, to remain one game ahead of Houston. So, gotta credit the Jags, man. Went in to a hostile mile high and just straight up pimp slapped the Broncos. And who I was counting on today, but hey, hats off to the Jags. And for the Texans, I gotta admit, this team struggled against the Raiders today. And I also have to admit, Texans were bailed out on some key penalties committed by the Raiders. And I gotta say, you know, two tackles went down in closing seconds. Ursery and Trent Brown. Hope both are okay. And hope their injury isn't too serious because we need those guys for the Chargers this Saturday coming up. And also Jake Hansen went down today with a chest injury as well, who was ruled out. So hope his injury isn't too serious. And of course, Cesar Shire didn't play today. You know, gotta save him along with Woody Marks for the Chargers. But I gotta say, last week the biggest Achilles heel was Trey McBride, the main Achilles heel. Now, as of week 16, December 21st, today's Achilles heel for the Texans defense was Ashton Genty, who had, you know, a rushing touchdown, you know, thanks to a key missed opportunity to bring down Genty, which led to him breaking out for a TD, plus a 60-yard TD from Geno Smith. I mean, I got to say, he had himself a game today. And Brock Burns scored a touchdown as well, but I thought the Texans did a solid job of holding him pretty good, you know. But the future is bright for Ashton Genty, man. You know, just got to build around that guy and, revamping their roster. And Max Crosby is a dog, too, who deserves to be on a Super Bowl contending team, by the way. I mean, they played their hearts out, the whole Raiders defense, Limiting Nico Collins, pretty good. I mean, Raiders did their thing. They played their hearts out. Now to shift to the Texans. I mean, I gotta admit you know, run defense got pushed around today. Which was the area of the Achilles heel. And of course, they gave up a 60-yard TD throw to Genty, who kicked the Texans' butt today. And Derek Stingley, got him a pick six, But take away that, along with, if the field goals Fairbairn made, Houston would have lost this game, which means bye-bye to their 6-game winning streak, but didn't. I mean, I just thought the execution could have been a lot better at that. Yeah, there was some flashes, some pretty good runs by Nick Chubb. Had him, but longest run was 30-some yards. And Jawar Jordan had some pretty good runs, but like I said, the offense could have done a lot better with the, sustaining drives at that. Which what kept the Raiders in this game throughout much of the game when they had opportunities to put the game away. Knowing that the first offensive touchdown didn't come until the fourth quarter with 7 minutes and 44 seconds left. Like, let that sink in. From Stroud to Dalton Schultz, who had his third receiving TD of the day, who by the way, surpassed Owen Daniels for most receptions by a tight end for the Texans franchise. The great Owen Daniels at that. And not to mention, I wasn't surprised that Jalen Noel wasn't used. But I also felt like they could have utilized Jaden Higgins, who had just one catch today, a lot better. Like, and then I come to wonder, like, what the hell? How the hell? Like, how? What the hell is Nick Caley doing? Like, how is he not utilizing these guys right? I mean, Nico, he didn't have the splashes of days, but he did manage to make a clutch catch, which sealed the deal for the Houston Texans. You know, I mean, yeah, I gotta admit, it was an ugly win. Was not the prettiest of wins, but not to mention, I will take it, but I will not let this win distract me from the fact that they got some things to clean the hell up on both sides of the ball. And of course, got to do a better job of stopping the run and, you know, stopping the run and, you know, not giving up some big plays. Not to mention, and knowing that the Chargers aren't going to be pushovers come Saturday, week 17, but if they want to keep this winning streak going, got to clean some things up, execute better, sustain drives, put more sevens on the board, because, you know, like I say, thankful for that Stingley pick six, and along with the special teams, Kymie Fairbairn made his field goals. But, the offense just got to do a better job of finishing drives. So, like I said, credit the Raiders, though. They played their hearts out. And like I just mentioned, Max Crosby, he was a baller. And that secondary, looked pretty good too. You know, besides some boneheaded penalties they committed, but other than that, I thought they made the adjustments they made if it meant limited the Texans offense throughout most of the game. Which goes to show that Nick Caley should have came up with a much better execution plans to help put this offense in a much better position to score points on the board. I mean, yeah, we were missing Woody Marks today. I get it, but no, I'm not using that as an excuse to why the Texans only had one offensive touchdown today. Can't do that and expect to win games. Plus, relying on the defense. Because, not to mention, these next two games are beyond pivotal. And like I said in my previous videos, this team has little to no room for error, let alone mistakes. It's already enough that Jacksonville's last two games are pretty much favorable. So, if the Jags ended up winning the AFC South, hey, so be it. Since the least we can do is, move up in the wild card standings by beating the Chargers next week, in which I'll be discussing in another video that I make. But other than that, Texans surviving upset-minded Raiders, which is also basically surviving a scare. And then I once again admit the Texans struggled against the Raiders. I will admit to that. I mean, a win is a win, but this win wasn't impressive. I'll throw that out there. I mean, I'll take a win, but not saying it's impressive. Not even in the slightest. But, hey, Houston improves to 10-5. Double-digit winning season for the third straight year. And, hey, let's get ready for the Chargers next week coming up. It's going to be another huge game. But, and also, the Texans, as a team, sacked the quarterback twice. Should have been 3 sacks had Will Anderson finished off Geno Smith. Will Anderson and Derek Barnett each had sacks. Had a sack each today. So, yeah. Houston Texans win 23-21. They move to 10-5 as they look You know, hopes of retaining the AFC South is not dead yet. Because had they lost this game, forget about winning the AFC South for a third straight year. But let's go Texans and let's see what unfolds next week. So, Lloyd Houston checking on up out of here. 713 Space City, and I'm out.